we were talking before the show about films and what we were going to kind of discuss, and I mentioned, have you ever heard of the movie Reefer Madness? Mm-hmm. And Carl, have you heard? Have you seen Reefer Madness?
The old school one where they try to scare people and they like make monkeys smoke a lot of weed and tell them that don't hang with jazz singers and stuff.
Yep, the black and white film. So back
it was real black and white.
I think it came out in 1936 or 1937. I'm pretty sure it's 37. And basically, for all those out there who've never heard of Reefer Madness, go look it up, go watch it. It's a great reference to that time period in the culture. And what this movie is it's about a all-American high school jock that gets suckered into smoking weed for the first time, and then he goes crazy. He rapes somebody, he murders somebody, he runs somebody over with a car, and it basically, the philosophy was like, smoking weed makes you go crazy and do all these things, but it had nothing to do with the drug. It had nothing to do with THC. What that film was all about, and the politics of the era had everything to do with hemp. And it's a crazy story that if you look back, I mean, you can find it on YouTube for free, but if you look at it, you're like, wow, people, they made this and people actually believe this shit. But that's like how and why we got here as a country. And now all these things are being, brought back to the surface because of legalization, recreation in states. And I think that's a big point, is to figure out how we got here.
Well, J.P. Morgan and all those guys, they owned all the oil companies, they owned all the clothing and the cotton and all those industries. So not only was hemp good for clothing and other things like that and furniture, you could also make it a biofuel that was usable for cars and was going to be competitive with gasoline. So all the dudes, just like they did with the crash in the 20s, having all those margin calls done by pulling all their money in at the same time, they did the same thing. Made newspapers, made Reefer Madness, got people all scared, and got weed made illegal, really, just to keep them from competing with gasoline companies.
Yeah, dude. You took the words right out of my mouth. That was excellent, Carl. Thank you. I was telling Ryan about this before you got here, but yeah, you're exactly right. It was Andrew Mellon and John Rockefeller and William Randolph Hearst. Those three are the ones who really put the hammer down. And it was because in the 1930s, a machine called the decoriator came out, and that was like the cotton gin to industrial harvest hemp. So all these industries, like Rockefeller and Mellon and all these guys, were like, oh shit, we got to make this illegal or else we're gonna have the legs cut out from under us. And it's so funny because nobody really talks about the hemp aspect anymore. And I think everyone, especially now in culture, it's all about legalization for the medicine and the recreation of THC. And that's great. I'm totally supportive of that. I think the anti-cancer benefits, the getting off alcohol and stuff, like all the benefits drastically outweigh the negatives.
Like the CBDs in the ghost water situation. Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Ryan, what'd you pour us right here? I want to toast everybody. Well, tell us what this is, brother.
That's watermelon lemonade. That's a THC dreams drink right there.
Let's go.
Yeah, THC infused. That's a new one that's coming out that I'm working on. So,
it's bomb. It's really good.
That's watermelon lemonade.
You smell it?
Oh my God, it's delicious.
Yeah. I think y'all should call it red. Red. Yeah, it'll so great. That's that red, cuz.
Yeah, we got I got some other stuff here for you, like some teas.
Yeah.
Just get some background pictures. I want to get a picture.
What's this right here?
Is that the lemonade?
That's actually a tea.
Oh,
strawberry jasmine tea.
Take it home.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Got a lot of crazy oddball flavors.
So, nice. I mean, without giving too much away, these are in tea bags already, and you just make it like hot tea, and the tea itself is infused.
Yeah, that's actually raw tea. That's not no powder. That's actually raw, 100% organic tea. Wow. With your cannabis in it.
Tight.
So there's nothing, no sugar, nothing added. Just what it is.
Brilliant.
Take it home.
And this is perfect. This is in perfect time with the legalization and situation. Are you from Cali too?
Yeah, I'm from Cali.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just looking at it in a different stance. I mean, because like I said, I'm not a smoker. Yeah. So I mean, I just want to make products for people to basically enjoy it, and not be blown out and tore up, because there's some stuff out there that I've seen is like 4,500 mgs. I'm like, ooh,
that is an insanely high dose.
That's so high. What's the name of that brand, and could you write that down?
Well, this is what I told you. We talked about Reefer Madness. I've written a screenplay that I'm raising money for now, and about the origins of Reefer Madness. It's about Reefer Madness was based on a real crime that occurred in Tampa in 1933. A kid by the name of Victor Licata.
Where else?
Dude, all right, so crazy story. This kid named Victor Licata, 20 years old, went crazy and murdered his whole family in the middle of the night with an axe. The police came the next day and they found a joint roach at the scene of the crime. So they blamed the whole thing on weed. Harry Anslinger found out about it. It got spun into the movie and the propaganda, and that's why weed is illegal, basically. But I grew up in Tampa. People who listen know that. I've talked about it before. And my high school, one of my best friends is a distant relative of Victor Licata. So on my, I think it was like 26th birthday, I was playing poker with like 5 of my friends, just hanging out at the house, we weren't going crazy. And the topic of Reefer Madness came up. And my buddy's like, oh yeah, you've never heard of Victor Licata? And I was like, no, what the fuck is this? I went down the rabbit hole, bro. I went to TPD headquarters and got the police report. I went to University of South Florida and got the genealogy for the family. First of all, his parents were first cousins. So all of his family was in and out of mental institutions. So he was just fucking crazy to begin with. And secondly, like, there was no direct evidence about the marijuana, roach at the scene of the crime. So I'm like an investigative journalist for 6 months, and I go, you can't make this shit up. This has got to be a movie. How do we tell this story? I was like, I was sitting around Thanksgiving the year after that. Not that fall, but the next year after I had like written a good portion of the story. And I was telling my family about this, and my uncle and my mom, none of them use cannabis. And they don't care. They'll like support it. They were kind of indifferent, basically. But I started talking about how and why we got here and the origins of this story. And everyone was like, what? Are you fucking kidding me? It was almost like they were pissed off.
Exactly.
Like they have been tricked.
Exactly.
And that's why, what I love the fact that you love to help people, because that's one of my big MOs. I want to make this movie not to make $1 million, not to be famous. I'm not even put myself in it. I just want it to be made because I think it can change the culture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I really think that if Americans watched a film back then and it changed their minds to cause this, if we could take that same story and tell the truthful side of it, it can reverse the process. The power of entertainment is so profound. Think about how many things in film and music have influenced politics and culture from like the 60s to the 70s. All those things. Like politics follow culture. I don't think it's the other way around.
No, far from it.
Right. So if you create the culture and you change people's minds, the legalization and the economics will follow through. I mean, imagine hemp can be used for so many different things. THC can be used for so many different things. But imagine not being dependent on any petroleum or oil anymore. No more war no more going to the Middle East. People are not getting locked up in jail. This big pharma is going to take a hit. Private prisons are going to take a hit. The oil industries are going to take a hit. There's going to be a lot. But, I noticed you were driving a Tesla out there, by the way. That is a sick fucking Tesla. I like those rims, bro. You got that aftermarket black on red, dude. That was so fucking, that's ill. But it's kind of like that theory. Like, I don't care what the status quo is. We want to do what's better for the world. And that's one of Elon Musk's philosophies. When he started Tesla, he goes, look, to his shareholders, he goes, look, don't expect to make a profit right off the bat. Like, we're doing this because we need to, as a humanity, needs to end our dependence on fossil fuels. So it all ties in.